Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Uncanny Treks. We have started our run through the Hickman run. We did the adjectiveless Avengers. It's time for us to also start his new Avengers, his Illuminati book. This is New Avengers Volume 1, Everything Dies. It does New Avengers 1 through 6, is it, Matt?
Yes, 1 through 6.
1 through 6. I am Bob in Cascadia. That is Matt in the Southland. Matt, how you doing this evening?
Doing pretty well, Bob. This Illuminati stuff's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? It's wild. Did you ever read the original Illuminati miniseries or the Bendis run where the Illuminati show up?
I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't either. I don't really think you need to have. So is your main exposure to the Illuminati Doctor Strange 2?
Pretty much, yeah, that's it. I feel like I read some of this at the time when it dropped a long time ago.
This is what, 2012?
Right.
I did read years ago.
Right, I did read a bit of it, yeah. I did read a bit of it when it came out, but not enough to really remember.
This is John Hickman writing, and then it's Steve Epting on art. We've already looked at some of Steve Epting's art with Hickman on Hickman's Fantastic Four and Future Foundation run, but I think Epting is most famous for his role in drawing a lot of the Captain America run with Ed Brubaker that introduced Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I read those a long time ago.
Yeah, Sam. That might be not anytime soon, but that might be a fun run to look back at, but it's huge. So that's a potential problem. Well, Matt, let's go ahead and get into issue number 1, Memento Mori. What goes down in New Avengers number 1, Memento Mori?
Black Panther witnesses an incursion and the destruction of an entire world by a black swan.
We have a flashback here where the Panther tells the Illuminati off.
Right.
Refuses to join them. I think this is right after the Kree-Skrull War in Marvel continuity. And I believe that was a scene that Bendis did in that Illuminati miniseries, which is very interesting that what Panther sees in this issue is enough to get him to overcome his distaste for the Illuminati.
Right. It's a pretty big deal. You got another universe coming up into your universe about to squish it. Never seen that before.
It's wild. It's also fun because...
although I think didn't they call that Crisis on Infinite Earths when that one was called?
Matt, on the one hand, it definitely is Hickman introducing Crisis on Infinite Earths to Marvel, right? He's making the Avengers do a DC Crisis. But on another hand, it's also Hickman greatly improving on Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
Bingo.
The DC Crisis on Infinite Earths is never this good, never this well thought out.
No, that's the thing, folks. If you read Hickman's work, it is cosmic and crazy, but you can follow it and it leaves you, there's emotion in it. Whereas all these other cosmic
to keep it grounded and to put emotion into it, which is the DC crises. If you listen to our episode on Infinity Gauntlet, we do not feel accomplished that.
Our poor listeners are going to have to hear so much about Crisis on Infinite Earths this week if they listen to us.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing that I like the Adjectiveless Avengers book that Hickman did, if he had only done that book, we might still have covered this. But the New Avengers book is the thing I really wanted to cover from this. And especially I really wanted to cover it because it's the closest we're probably ever going to get to Hickman writing a solo Black Panther book and a solo Namor book. And he's just so good at writing both of them, right?
Right.
That was the real attraction of this in some ways to me, is seeing how Hickman writes Panther and Namor.
And to write these series parallel to one another is a feat. I just have no idea how this man accomplished to keep up with it all.
He does that with the Fantastic Four and Future Foundation, but it's such a more dramatic and stark contrast here than with Fantastic Four and Future Foundation.
Correct.
And then I did want to ask, I don't know if you remember this, I only dimly remember it, but in the late issues of Future Foundation, there is an arc where the Future Foundation goes to Wakanda, and that arc does foreshadow this run a little bit. It does start hinting at the coming crisis. Did you remember any of that stuff, or is it blurry for you like it is for me?
It's very blurry because we've read so much, but I do remember them going there because they take in that student for the Future Foundation.
Yeah, they do. So, Matt, what's your favorite panel in issue number 1?
My favorite panel, Bob, is on page 8. They've just discovered the incursion, the portal that would show them where the other world is coming in to collide. And a rhinoceros, runs out of the portal, which makes sense because on the other side of the portal is their Wakanda. And on the other side is our Wakanda. So while there's this big cosmic event going on, they have to worry about being gored by a rhino. That was interesting to have that natural, normal, even the animals are affected by this.
It does really tie back to Black Panther's roots in jungle adventure comics, right? Like
Correct.
if you
Yes.
read the original Black Panther solo run in the 70s by Don McGregor, he's all the time fighting jungle creatures, right?
If this was Christ on Infinite Earths, we would have had a Velociraptor come running out or
Yeah,
some random creature.
but here it's a little more grounded. I did want to ask, then this is first reference on page 12 where we're going to get a character named Black Swan, but do you know what a Black Swan event is?
But not at this point.
I don't mean in Marvel, I mean in real life.
Oh,
Do you know
no,
what
I have no idea. What does that mean?
I was hoping you would look it up to spare me from looking it up. My dim sense of it, listeners, and feel free to laugh at me because I might be totally off base about this. My dim sense is a black swan is just a description for a highly rare event that I think it's statistically impossible to predict. Not that the event is impossible, just that it's impossible to predict. Does that distinction
Oh,
make
okay.
sense?
It's a rare, unpredictable occurrence with a significant, far-reaching impact
With a far-reaching event.
that is often
And
rationalized as predictable only in hindsight.
only in hindsight. Okay, that's a good definition. Thank you. And I think in popular science discourse and popular economics discourse, some guy wrote a book called Black Swan around this time. And so if you listen to TED Talks or you read a certain kind of popular science, popular economics writing around 2012, a lot of people were talking about Black Swan events. So I think Hickman is somewhat playing off the prevalence of that discourse.
Example they give me are COVID-19 pandemic and the 2008 financial crisis.
It's because the 2008
Right.
crash
That's
that
what
the
he's-
discourse about black swans really got popular among popular economists and popular scientists. My favorite panels are a series on 22 and 23 in issue number 1 of New Avengers. And it's basically we see all of the Illuminati arriving in Wakanda, arriving at the City of the Dead, and we find out what Panther thinks of each of them, which is very amusing. So he thinks Cap and Iron Man, Captain America and Iron Man, are self-righteous. He thinks of Mr. Fantastic as a thinker. He thinks of Strange as a sorcerer. He thinks of Black Bolt by his title, the Midnight King, and he thinks of Namor as Satan.
Well, yeah, Namor's the devil to Wakanda.
He is the devil to Wakanda, Matt. He is the devil to Wakanda. So number 2 is In Secret They Rule, issue number 2. What goes down in Secret They Rule?
Well, Bob, the Illuminati meet to discuss how they will handle the incursion events. And right off from the start, Bob, you got Mr. Fantastic interviewing or interrogating Black Swan.
Indeed.
Was there sexual tension there, or am I just reading too far into this?
I wasn't thinking that when I was reading it, but in hindsight, you're absolutely right. I see what you're saying.
I'm like, this is some Namor Invisible Woman type stuff going on here. I was trying to figure out if that was part of her. She had some seduction power or something like poison ivy. I didn't know if there was something weird going to go on with that at some point.
What my theory of it would be that rarely in Reed Richards' life does he meet a woman who is the physical embodiment of a scientific problem for him. And so
Oh.
he probably is sexually interested in her, but in a certain sense, it's less about her and more about the sense that like she represents this problem for him. Does that make sense?
That he has to solve, yes, and that's
Yeah,
the only
yeah.
way. It's through his sexual wanton. Okay.
To say what I understand the status quo of Wakanda to be at this point, and I might have this slightly wrong, but as I understand it, T'Challa is the king of the dead, and his sister Shuri is also serving as Black Panther, and she's actually ruling Wakanda as queen, while T'Challa is just in a symbolic role in the City of the Dead. We've also just come off Namor doing a devastating flood on Wakanda,
Right.
which was a part of a story that I still need to read about Shuri becoming Black Panther. And I think there being a 3-way war with Wakanda, Latveria, and Atlantis. And this is why Panther thinks of Namor as the devil. There's definitely some other devilish things about Namor in these issues we'll get to. But I think it's primarily the mass casualty event that Namor caused in Wakanda shortly before this comic.
And folks, if you watch Black Panther 2, that they kind of go with the Namor war thing. There's a little of that in
Yeah,
there.
I want to say it was Jonathan Mayberry wrote that series that made
Mhm.
Shuri the Black Panther.
Right.
And I think the movie was heavily drawing on that series.
Bob, what was your favorite panel?
My favorite panel came on page 11, speaking of the Panther-Namor relationship. And Panther's threat to Namor was when my wants can replace my people's needs, I'm going to kill you.
Panther's going to kill Namor one day, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
My favorite panel, Bob, it's on pages 17 and 18.
Mm.
Jonathan Hickman's so good with these diagrams, and as a data nerd, diagram nerd type thing, that's part of my job. love these diagrams he'd use to explain the incursion event. It's so easy for me to understand because of
Yeah.
these diagrams. I get
Yeah.
what's happening. Whereas in the other big cosmic things, they never go into that. They never really explain it. Okay, here's the science of it. This is what's going down. I really appreciate those simple graphics to understand
And
what's
we
going
talked about this a little with his run on Fantastic Four and Future Foundation. If he uses diagrams there too, but not nearly to this extent. And this and his X-Men run are really, at least in his, he was already doing this in his creator-owned work. But in his big two work, this is where he's made it integral and essential to the storytelling.
Hickman's just a good writer. He knows he cannot show this without it being illustrated. You can't put this into word. It's not going to come off easy.
Being able to be a writer who knows how to have that translated either by the artist or by your own work on the graphs individuals is so cool for a comics writer.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, issue number 3.
Infinity, Matt. What goes down in issue number 3?
So Captain America actually wields the Infinity Gauntlet, but it's destroyed after moving a world to safety.
Yeah. What were your favorite panels in this issue, Matt?
In the beginning of the issue, Bob, they're trying to get the Mind Gem. At this point in Marvel, Professor X is dead.
He is, yeah.
So he bestowed the gem to Beast, but I don't think Beast was aware of it. So in the beginning of the issue, we get this sequence of somehow Professor X is able to let him know where the gem is, playing it out in his mind. It was cool, though. I just say the whole scene itself was really neat. The way that it was able to trigger that memory of, oh yeah, there's this mind gem. It's locked away in my safe that has the password of gifted.
Gifted. It's funny. That's funny. And I didn't really appreciate this at the time, but it's interesting reading this, knowing what Hickman will do to Professor X in about 7 years, and knowing, which I don't think I appreciated at the time, knowing Hickman's deep appreciation for the X-Men. I really do enjoy the dynamic that Cap has with the rest of the Illuminati in these of I can see all of you are starting to plan to do crazy stuff to blow up worlds to save this world, but we're not going to do this. We're going to solve this the right way. We're going to be heroes. And even after he screws up with the Infinity Gauntlet, which was very interesting to your point you made in the Infinity Gauntlet episode we just did, that Cap's not really very prepared to use it.
You have to be prepared to use the thing. It doesn't have to do with your gender. Making that very clear.
Although they also make the point that of them, Cap is the best one to do it because it's actually his plan. And so because it's his plan, he will be best attached to realizing it.
He has the willpower.
He gives this long speech of, look, guys, I'm sorry I screwed it up. I'm sorry I broke the Infinity Gauntlet, but we're still going to do this the right way, and we're not going to do anything evil. And they're like, no, Cap, we're going to do something evil. And the best part is he looks at Beast, and Beast is, Captain, are you seriously asking a mutant what he's willing to do to stave off extinction?
Brilliant.
The payoff, Matt, is ironic because we were just saying on our Infinity Gauntlet episode that we both think Identity Crisis is the worst DC crossover and indeed the worst comic crossover of all time. And it is. But here we have Doctor Strange doing what Zatanna does in Identity Crisis and wiping Captain America's mind of this problem of the game of the worlds and of the secret of the Illuminati.
Done better here, though, right, Bob?
Yeah, I would say so. Better.
You're not mind wiping Batman because he watched you mind wipe a villain?
In a way, it's a solution appropriate to the scale of the problem, which is the game of the universe, as opposed to Identity Crisis, which centers around a horrific crime, but ultimately just an interpersonal crime. But keep going to number 4, World Eater.
In World Eater, Bob, the Illuminati experienced the next incursion, which has brought the hunger of Galactus and his herald, Terox.
We have Tony's attempt to build a solution to this crisis of the worlds, this game of the worlds, as he built it. And that's the other funny thing is the rhetoric here is, I'm trying to intentionally echo, is both DC rhetoric, but it's also Game of Thrones rhetoric because Game of Thrones is very popular in 2012. But Tony's attempt to build a solution is to build a Dyson sphere around Earth's sun. Had you heard of Dyson spheres before?
Yeah, a machine that harnesses the power of the sun or a star. The Dyson sphere, though, this is where in the last episode that we covered, we were covering the Digitalist Avengers. This is where they stuck that dude, right? That kid who got all the powers.
Yeah, Starbrand and Nightmask, I believe. I can never remember if it's Nightmask or Nightmark, but I think it's Nightmask.
Making him live in the Dyson sphere.
Because Starbrand, the kid gets the Starbrand powers, he can't control them, and so they isolated him and Nightmask in the Dyson sphere.
So they're mind-wiping fellow heroes, and they're throwing overly powered people into a sun prison.
in the Sun prison, that's in the good book. That's in the heroic book, right? That's not in the book where they're doing evil.
Yeah, now that I know what it is, I just thought it was a cool house he was getting.
My favorite panel from this issue is on page 16. This is issue number 4, where we see another Earth where the Statue of Liberty is a statue of Magneto. And Namor, like Satan, is whispering in Beast's ear, "Admit it, Henry. This idea excites you a little, doesn't it?"
Yeah, this is my favorite panel as well, Bob. This is the best panel in the book. When I saw that
Namor
Magneto
is
statue, I was like,
yes,
this is awesome.
devilish Namor.
Right. He's awful.
And at this point, it's worth saying this is in the era of the civil war between the X-Men, or after the schism between the X-Men. So Beast is with Wolverine's X-Men, and Namor is with Cyclops' X-Men. And so at this point, Namor has gotten more involved in like militant mutant politics, and he's on the Cyclops, who's becoming more and more Magneto side of things.
Right.
And Magneto is even allied with Cyclops at this point.
Terex, he's a Herald of Galactus. I didn't know much about him, but he has a pretty big fight scene in this.
Did you have the action figure, Matt?
I think you had the action figure.
I had the action figure. Wow.
I think you did. But yeah, he was created by, he looks like Darkseid. Almost identical, except he has an axe.
So maybe I had him. I would have sworn he was yours, but I think I just assume all the action figures were yours in my memory. I don't think I take ownership of it.
Because I was obsessed with him.
I liked him too. I liked him too. Well, Matt, to move on to issue number 5, Black Swans. What goes down in Black Swans?
Well, Bob, the Illuminati captured Terex and learned the origin of the Black Swan.
What was your favorite panel in this issue, Matt?
Well, Black Swan, when they return back with Terex, Black Swan is sitting in the center chair of their auditorium, acts like she's in control, which was my first instinct to think something weird's going on here, which we find out later on. It was odd to have her in the center with her leading the meeting. I don't know if that was symbolic or what that was meant to be, but it was a cool scene.
That's cool. My favorite panel from issue number 5 also involved Black Swan, but it was her telling Beast that his name is a name well known in the game of worlds. I just love Hickman's gift for portentous threats and portentous promises in his dialogue. I'm picking these partially because of that, but I also think Epting's acting of his characters when they're delivering these lines, when Namor is whispering to Beast, or when Black Swan is delivering this insight to Beast, the acting on the faces is really great in these panels as well. And it's worth pointing out, do you know what morally dodgy thing Beast was doing at the same time in X-Men in Marvel Now, Matt? This is in Marvel Now, Beast is really disgusted with the X-Men schism. And so his solution to try to solve it is to bring the original 5 X-Men into the current.
Okay. All right. I have not read this far into, okay. I must have stopped right around schism. I have to go back and look at where I'm at, because I have not reached the part in X-Men where they brought back the original.
Well, it's already getting dodgy around Schism too, because if I remember right, I might have the details wrong, but the combination of Wanda taking away all the mutant powers in House of M then really drives Beast to go to some dark places researching how to get mutant powers back. He's already there, and he's already doing dodgy calls about that, and then he violates the timeline by bringing in the original 5 in. And so yeah, this is really the era of maximum supervillain Beast, which will only be exceeded by the X-Force book in Krakoa, where he gets even more evil.
Speaking of Beast, issue number 6 is called Blue Hell.
What goes down in Blue Hell, Matt?
The next incursion appears in Latveria, but Black Panther uses a bomb to blow up the barren world.
What was your favorite panel in Blue Hell, Matt?
They're over there, the Illuminati arrive in Latveria, and they're seeing this fight take place on a roof. And they're like, oh, look, it's Doom. But no, it's always Kristoff the first time. Always
Kristoff.
It's always a Kristoff cop-out. Like and they zoom in, oh, it's Dr. Doom's son, and they show his face.
That's funny.
He's just dressed like him.
Matt loves a good cop-out. He always likes being copped out. My favorite panel is on 18, when Panther is about to use up the bomb to blow up the barren world, and Namor taunts him and accuses him of hesitating, and Panther tells him, I'm not waiting, I'm just remembering who I used to be.
Yeah, and he blows that thing up. Boom.
Yep.
Crazy, dog. Crazy.
If you described the plot of this to me as, oh yeah, some of your favorite Marvel characters go absolutely evil and start blowing up worlds, I'd be, oh, that sounds awful. But the execution is so strong.
It's great. I mean, you can see it. The choices are very, if you were in their shoes, what would you do? They put you in that mindset of, this isn't an easy decision to make.
Yeah,
Your
and it's
world's coming to an end. Their world is right there. How do you fix this? How do you
and it just seems there seem to be no non-evil solutions at play, right? Which is why Captain America's speech sounds so hollow.
Right, because he doesn't have any idea of what to do next. He just thinks they're going to magically fix it, and he offers no real solution. Just that he doesn't want them to blow things up.
Well, Matt, to start with, how did you read? We've read 2 volumes of the adjectiveless Avengers, right? And
Right.
so, was this surprising to you, given what we'd read in adjectiveless Avengers, or did you think they complemented each other well? What was your reaction to reading this right after reading those first 2 Avengers collections?
I feel reading the Agileless Adventures is like reading what would happen if the adventures were reported in, say, a newspaper. Whereas this is more what's really going on behind the scenes.
Funny, public versus private, almost.
Right, because especially with the whole Dyson Sphere thing, they didn't go into any detail about that. It just looked like they were sticking him in something. But now I'm like, oh, they're probably going to use his power somehow too. He's the star brand and their power. There's something going on there. I wouldn't have put that together until this. Oh, that's a Dyson Sphere. They're doing something bad.
The other contrast question I wanted to ask for you was, how did this read to you in the wake of, we had a kind of gap in the schedule, so we just filled it with Infinity Gauntlet. How did this read next to Infinity Gauntlet, a comic which it's on the one hand deeply indebted to, but on the other hand is really departing from?
Infinity Gauntlet is an example of that early 90s crossover event type thing that brings all the different characters in the Marvel Universe together. This is that too, but it's not everybody. It's the characters most people think of when they think of Marvel Comics, but putting them in roles where they're gray. They're not, it's not clear black and white what's good and bad. That's another reason why I always like Marvel, why DC fails at this, because they can't do that. They can't make that morally gray area the same way that Marvel can.
That's fair. So it sounds like you're enjoying this one more than the adjectiveless Avengers. Is that fair?
More so, yes, I would say.
It's a fun book. It's a fun book. Well, listeners, I think the plan is we're going to keep going. And I think we're just going to try to do, maybe not always, but in general, we'll try to do 2 Hickman episodes a week, just so that way it stays fresh in both of our minds and we can get through it. And we'll take it easy after we finish the Hickman Avengers. But the plan is right now, and we may not get there, but the plan is we're going to cover all of the Infinity crossover, which is coming up next, in one big episode. It's an interesting crossover, but it's not that good, and I don't think it's worth breaking it down further, and I don't think it would be great radio to break it down further. So we're going to just try to do one big fat Infinity episode, and the only exception is we're going to pull out the 6 New Avengers issues, and we'll talk about those 6 New Avengers issues that tie into Infinity on their own, because they're fairly coherent on their own. But we'll have one big Infinity episode, and we'll have one probably slightly smaller New Avengers Infinity episode. Does that make sense, Matt?
That makes perfect sense, Bob.
All right. And then after that, we'll get on a rhythm for at least, I think we'll be on a rhythm for 2 weeks. We may not be continuous because I got to do some traveling, but we'll be on a rhythm where we'll do an episode on Avengers and an episode of New Avengers in the same week. Listeners, well, please stick with us for our coverage of Hickman Avengers. Go back and look at our Hickman Fantastic Four coverage if you're interested in that and haven't looked at that. And I am Bob in Cascadia. That is Matt in the Southland. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for listening.